Okay guys, dito naman tayo ngayon sa vectors and scalar quantity. Okay, this is part of your module 2. Okay, so what makes deeper from vectors into scalar? Okay, so these are the two important topics that we will be discussing. Importante talaga siya kasi pagdating sa physics, it is even in a simple way of telling or making a story. Let's say I'm going to the market, so you will be using scalar quantities and vector quantities in a real life situation. Kaya lang tayo kasi minsan hindi lang natin siya na-appreciate because hindi natin alam totally yung pinaka real value niya. Pero in physics, importante yan. Let's say sa mga sasakyan, kailangan sa mga what do you call this one, especially sa mga ngayon sa mga sasakyan ngayon na powered sila ng yung naka-program na. Okay, so ginagamitan natin sila ng idea na to ng vectors and sa scalar quantity. So this time, what makes differ vectors and scalar quantity? So scalar is any quantity in physics that has magnitude but not a direction associated with it. The other one, okay, when we're talking about magnitude, is a numerical value with units. So it's very easy to understand when we're talking about scalar quantity. Okay, may direction siya pero wala siya. I mean, may magnitude siya but the direction is not totally indicated. Okay, so these are some of the examples of these are some example of scalar quantity in dealing especially sa physics. So speed, we can say yung speed, you can say 20 minutes per hour, 500 hours per 500 kilometer per hour. So, pwede yun. Okay? But you don't know which direction you're traveling. Sa distance naman, okay, 10 meters. Sa age naman, 15 years. Sa heat is 100 calories. Okay? So, it's very easy. Wala kang makikitang direction. Again, when we're talking about scalar quantity, is any quantity in physics that has magnitude but not direction associated with it. So, wala siyang direction pero may magnitude siya. So, again, when we're talking about magnitude, is a numerical value with units. So, the other hand, when we're talking about vector, is any quantity in physics that has both magnitude and direction. So, parang lang siyang yung scalar quantity is wala siyang direction. Sa vector naman, both directions and magnitude. So what are you going to do is, when you can see that there is a direction written on the scalar on the value, let's say 100 meter per second northeast, automatic, when we're talking when we are focusing on the example, that is an example of vector. But when we're talking about 500 meters per hour, that's totally scalar quantity. Lalagi lang tatandaan is yung direction. And if you observe, there are some there are some letters down here. Kung napapansin po ninyo, okay, meron siyang arrow. Pag sinabi natin vectors, isa sa mga palatandaan, one of the sign that this particular example is referring with vector, if you can see po, makikita yung mga arrows sa taas. This is what we call the direction. Okay? Vectors are typically illustrated by a drawing and an arrow above the symbol. The arrow is used to convey direction and magnitude. So, the vector is velocity, acceleration, force. Yan. So, ito yung magnitude and direction example natin. Okay, so application of vectors. Vector addition, dalawa yun eh. Meron tayong vector addition at saka vector subtraction. So, ang tatanda natin, if two similar vectors point in the same direction, then add. Let's say, 54.5 meter east and 30 meter east. So, the same direction sila. So, all you have to do is just add this two given. Notice that the size of the arrow conveys magnitude and the way it was drawn conveys direction. Okay? So that is addition po, ha? Now let's have subtraction. If two vectors are going in the opposite direction, then you need to subtract. Okay? So example, a man walks 54.5 meters east, then 30 meters to west. Calculate his displacement relative to where he started. Okay? So sabi, 54.5 meters east. Okay? Yung blue arrow represents now the first the first statement. And then the red arrow represents the second statement. Okay? So 54.5 meter east and the other one is 30 meter west. So again, it's a different direction. The other one is to the east, the other one is going to the west. So the rule is subtract. Okay? So 54 minus 30 at give you the answer of 24.5 meter easts. Okay? Bakit po naging east na siya? Okay? So kung makikita po ninyo, mas mahaba pa rin po yung west kaysa east. Okay. So non-collinear vectors. When two vectors are perpendicular, you must use the Pythagorean theorem. So, paano ba masasabing Pythagorean theorem natin na formula? So, makikita niyo po ito. Ayan. So, this is an example of a Pythagorean theorem. C squared is equals to A squared plus B squared. Okay? So, then square. So, yan, isa-isahin natin. So, dito naman, magkaiba sila ng directions. Okay, magkaiba ng yes, yung direction. Kaganina, the same direction add. Okay, kung opposite po direction siya, magkaharapan. Okay, so subtract. Now, this one naman is non-collinear vectors. When two vectors are perpendicular, you must use Pythagorean theorem. The hypotenuse in physics is called resultant. So, yung red natin is a resultant. So, mapapansin po niyo, horizontal natin, then the vertical component natin. Okay, the horizontal component is 95 km east, and the vertical component natin is 55 km north. Okay, so the arrow having this dot red in color is what we call now the resultant. Okay, so that represents our hypotenuse. So here we have, since ang given daw natin po, okay, so una niya direction is 95 km east. So we have here, kung pansin niyo po ha, sa Pythagorean theorem natin, we have 95, okay, plus 55 km. The same lang naman sila, kilometer. Tapos, north lang yung isa, direction natin sa vertical, and the other one for our horizontal is east. So, just squared. How to make squared on your calculator. So, napakadali lang po yan. So, papakita ko ha. I'm hoping na makikita. Wait. Ayan. So, kung napapansin po ninyo, para mas mabilis po, 95 square. So, plus, okay, 55 square. And x2 po ang pipindutin natin, ha? Ayan. Okay, kung pansin po nyo is 12,050. Ayan, yung tama yung sagot niya. Ano po? Tapos, after that, hindi pa tayo patapos kasi sabi dun sa Pythagorean theorem, we need to have this, yung square niya. Okay? So, the square root of 12,050. And okay, so the answer is 109.8 kilometers. So dito po, okay, sa example lang, hindi ko lang siya nabago, pero dapat ang magiging sagot lang natin dyan is 109.77 kilometer. Okay, so again, 109.77 kilometer. Okay, so yan po, mabilis lang po intindihin itong example na yan. Square nyo lang siya. 95 square, 55 square, tapos kunin nyo muna yung total nito and then do the square root na. Okay? So in the previous example, displacement, so dito there's a big but. But what about the direction? In the previous example, displacement was asked 4, and since it is a vector, we should include the direction on our final answer. Okay, di ba kanina ang sagot niya dito is 109.8. Supposedly, ang sagot natin dyan kasi narounding niya into the first digit after the decimal na hindi applicable sa atin kasi yung rule natin is 2 digits after the decimal. So, your answer should be 109.77 kilometers. But since this is vectors, we cannot say that when you are giving me of your answer like 109.77 without putting the direction, so that's not a vector quantity. That's a scalar quantity. Okay? So, again, here, in the previous example, displacement was asked for this 4, and since it is a vector, we should include a direction on the final answer. Note, when drawing a right triangle, okay, this is an example that conveys the same, conveys some type of motion, you must draw your components head to toe. So, head to toe, ito po, yung kita mo yung pinaka-arrow lasts ng horizontal, and then that's the time na maglalagay ka ng arrow up. Okay, that for your vertical. Okay, so ang tawag nila dyan is head to toe. Ayan, so it's very clear po, pinakita sa arrow. Yan. Okay, and then it's very important also that you can identify properly yung location natin, yung sa mga compass natin. Okay, okay lang sana kung digital siya, pero in our case, since nagsusolve tayo ng problems related to vector quantities, so we must familiar with this. Okay? So alam naman natin 'yan, 'di ba po? There are four major directions followed by 8 sub directions. So we have east of north, north of east, southeast, east of south, southwest, southwest and southwest, south of west, tapos ito naman ay west of south, sorry, and then northwest, and then west of north. Okay, so to find the value, okay, here just putting north of east on the answer is not specific enough for the direction. You must find the value of the angle. To find the value of an angle, we use a trig function and called tangent. So, dito tayo ngayon sa tangent. Okay, if you're familiar with your science, especially when you are in grade 10, okay, I hope so na yung mga teachers natin during our junior high school teach us okay, about tangent, sine, and cosine. Okay? So, paano natin matatandaan ang tangent? Okay, so sabi dito we must find the value of an angle. Para malaman natin ang value ng angle natin, gagamitan natin siya ng tangent. So sa calculator natin, automatic may makikita kayo dyan na tan. Okay, it depends na lang kung given ang tan or ang hinahanap mo naman ay yung angle. Okay, so tuturuan ko mamaya paano siya gagawin. Okay, let's say on this example, you have 55 over 9. Sa tangent kasi natin, tangent theta natin is equal to opposite side. Okay, ang opposite side natin is this one. Adjacent side natin is this one. Horizontal and vertical. Horizontal yung ating adjacent side. Vertical yung ating opposite side. So you have here, adjacent side, opposite side is 55. Adjacent side is 95. That gives you the answer of 0.5789. Okay? So your answer must be 0.58. Okay? So how you do that? 55. Okay, kung may nakita kayong ganito sa calculator ninyo, ayan. Automatic na yan. Para hindi kayo mahirapan. Pero you can do naman 55 divided by 95. Ayan. So you have the answer is 0.5789. Okay. So the final answer should be 58. Okay, 58. Now, how to get the tangent? Ayan, so just press lang po shift sa calculator kung mayroon kayong mga calculator. Actually, meron naman itong conversion na pero bihira siya binibigay, especially sa physics. You have shift tapos pindot ang tan. Ayan. Okay. Tangent daw natin is 0.57. 8 pala. Ayan. So, ang sagot po niya ay 30 degrees. Okay? Kung ano yung pinaka-final, ano lang, yung whole number lang kukunin ninyo. Ayan. Okay? So, kung papansin po ninyo, medyo malabo na yung calculator ko. 30 degrees. So, ang magiging sagot po natin dyan ay 30 degrees. Okay? So, 109.8 kilometer is 30 degrees north of east. Bakit north of east? Tingnan nyo po yung direction natin. Balik tayo kanina. Ayan. So, ito po yung ano natin, direction natin. North of east. Okay. So, what if you are missing a component? Suppose a person walk. So, let's say daw may mga component kang na-miss. So, in this example, it is clearly given yung hinahanap natin ng mga components. Suppose a person walk 65 m, 25 degrees east of north. Okay. What were his horizontal and vertical components? The goal is always make a right triangle. To solve for this component, we use the trig function since the sine and the cosine. So, forgive me for this typo error. This one, sine and cosine. Okay. So, makikita po natin ang sine and cosine. Magkakatabi lang naman po yung tatlong yan. Ayan. Sine and cosine. Itong part na to. Sine, cosine, tan. Para makuha ang angle, makuha yung degrees, shift, tapos tan. Okay po. So, let's have this one. I know you're very excited. This one. Okay. So, we have here 65 degrees daw example natin. 65 meter. And then, you have 25 degrees northeast. East of north pala, sorry. 25 degrees east of north. So, east of north. 25. Okay? Ang sabi diyan kasi 65 meter. Suppose a person walks 65 meter, 25 degrees northeast. So 25 degrees. So hindi naman natin kasi ito this is 40 this is 90 degrees ito lahat. So 45 kalahati. Sabi lang naman ano lang daw sa 25. Kaya kung pansin po niyo yung arrow natin. Okay? So yung blue natin represents for 25. Okay. So VC is for vertical component. Ayan, ito yung hinahanap natin. Okay, HC or horizontal component. So, how to solve for cosine and sine? Okay, you must familiarize this one. You have adjacent side divided by hypotenuse. And the other one is sine theta is equal to opposite side divided by hypotenuse. Okay? So, yung adjacent side natin, the vertical side, okay, vertical component natin, which is 65. Okay, this one, 65. And then, okay, you have 65 cosine, 25. So, sabi kasi, divide lang natin yung dalawa. So, ito yung formula natin, di ba? 65 cosine, 25. So, kunin natin siya. So, paano siya kukunin? Paano siya pipindutin? Okay, please bear with me with my calculator. Here, we have 65. Pindot si cosine. Ayan. Cosine and then 25. Okay. So, what is your answer? This is 58.91. So, the answer is 58.91 meter. Okay? 58 meter. 58.91 meter. And then going to what? What direction? Yung ating ito. Okay? Going to north. Right? And then yung ating vertical naman, which is the other side in this one. Okay, opposite, horizontal components, you have, pag horizontal component siya, cosine, sine ang gagamitin. Pag vertical component siya, cosine ang gagamitin. Magkabaliktad po, pag sinabi natin, when we're talking about vertical components, okay, cosine ang gagamitin. Pag horizontal components, sine ang gagamitin. So, the same process, you have to press 65, sine 25. So, your answer is 27.47 meter. Okay, kasi meter yung ginamit natin dito. And then, the direction is going to the east. Okay, malinaw na po. Ano po? Ayan, so a bear searching for food wanders 35 meters east, then 20 meters north. Frustrated, he wanders another 12 meters west, then 6 meters south. Calculate the bear's displacement. Ayan. So, displacement yung hinahanap natin. Okay. So, kung napapansin po ninyo, ito yung total tinakbo niya. Yung una is 35 meter east. So, itong red. Then, you have followed by 20 meters north going up kasi north. And then, from the north, because he is frustrated, another 12 meters west, okay, the violet in color. And then, you have another here, the 6 meters south. Okay, pababa. You have here also yung 6 natin. Now, the question is how to calculate daw the displacement of this, the entire journey of the bear. Okay, so, yung red daw natin, ayan. So, what is our rule in getting the vector, if it is opposite direction, what are we going to do? Subtract. Okay, so what are we going to subtract here? Yung 35 and 12. Okay, so 35 and 12, that gives you 35 minus 12. Okay, that is 23 meter east. Okay, kasi siya yung pinamahaba. Then, followed by your blue. Okay, yung blue and green. Opposite direction pa rin sila, 20 and 6. So, that gives you 14, 20 and 6. So, 20 minus 6, that's 14. Meter north. And then the last one, you have, okay, so you have now the value for your, the total value for your vertical, tapos, horizontal, tapos, vertical nga, tapos followed by your, horizontal. Okay, so, kung napapansin po ninyo yan, yung arrow na yan ha, example na yan, yung, animation na yan. Example siya. So, kukunin natin dito yung angle niya. Okay, so you have 23 meter east and 14 meters north. Okay, di ba sabi natin kanina, yung dotted na arrows natin in the red in color, that represents our resultant vector. Okay? So, here, kukunin natin yung kanyang angle. So, we have here, resultant natin, 14. Ulit yung formula natin kanina, c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. Okay? So, the same lang yung process natin kanina sa example natin. So, you have 14 squared plus 23 squared. So, ito yung sagot niya. And then, after getting that, okay, sa tangent muna natin, yung tangent para makuha yung kanyang degree. So, ito yung paano kumuha yung degree. 14, okay, 14 and 23. Tapos, paano kunin ulit yung ano niya? Paano ulit kunin yung degrees niya? You are going to do second, shift, yung iba kasi second F yun. Shift, tapos tangent. Ayan. Tangent, 0.61. So, ang sagot natin is 31.3. 0.38. Ayan, pwede ito nga. 31.38 degrees. Or, pwede na siyang 31 degrees lang. Okay? Ayan. So, the final answer is 26.93 meter or 31.3 degrees north or east. Paano naging north of east siya sa yung arrow natin pa ganyan? Okay, another example. A boat moves with a velocity of 15 meter per second. And in a river, or north ito, actually north yan, in a river which flows with a velocity of 8.0 meter per second west. Calculate the boat's resultant velocity with with respect to due north. Okay. Isang ko na lang yung anong example nito. So, sabi dyan, 15 degrees, 15 meter per second, north. Okay, ito yun. And then, followed by 8 meters west. So, ito yun. Okay. So, ang resultant vector natin dito, ito yun. You have then finding the tangent theta. Okay, that represents the value for your angle. Okay, using the Pythagorean theorem. C squared is equals to A squared plus B squared. Okay, resultant vector is equal to the square root of 8 squared plus 15 squared. So you have, actually para hindi kayo mahirapan yan, pwede nyo na itong gamitin. Ayan. So you have A2, ay wait lang, pakita ko sa inyo kung paano, ano ha. Ayan, so lalapit ko ulit. So you have, okay, if you have this kind of symbol dun sa calculator ninyo para mabilis tayo, 8 squared, ayan, plus 15 squared. Okay, so sagot dyan dapat ay 17. Ayan, 17. Okay? So nakuha nyo yung sagot niya 17 meter per second. Daw, paano kunin yung tangent natin? Okay, yung value nung ating angle. So you have 8 divided by 15. So, pwede natin gawin ito. 8 and then 15. So, you have yung SD, importante yung SD ha. Itong part na yan. Okay, pag kunyari, naka-decimal yung sagot or naka-ratio, so ito yung gamitin yung SD. Ayan. Okay, so the answer is 53. 0.53. Ayan. 0.53. Tapos, 0.53 tangent, second F, tapos tangent. Ay, wait lang. Shift, tangent, 0.53. Ayan. 27.90. Kasi ginamit niya kasi dito is yun, 0.53 yan. Ganyan. So, ulitin ko ha. So, pero sa atin na lang ay gamitin natin yung 0.53 na lang as part of our agreement. Okay, again, second F, tangent, tapos 0.53. So, ang sagot mo ay 27.92. So, almost the same lang naman siya na 28.1. Okay? So, ang sagot lang natin dito is 27.92 degrees. Okay? So, sagot natin, anong direction ng arrow natin for resultant vectors? You have 17 meter per second at 27.92 degrees west of north. Okay? North tapos west. Okay na po. Okay, so for this example, I think almost the same lang siya. Okay? Hope you guys understand the example. Ang kaibahan lang naman ng scalar at vector quantity. Ang scalar quantity is napakadali lang po niyang gawin kasi wala siyang direction. And then the formula is given. Whereas pag sinabi natin scalar quantity, dun lang medyo nahihirapan tayo kasi kailangan natin yung direction, kailangan natin kunin yung angle niya. Recap lang po tayo dun sa ginawa natin. Again, there are 3 rules to be followed in getting the vector quantity. Pag the same direction yung arrows na gagawin natin, okay, just add. If opposite direction siya, subtract. Pero kung ang directions natin is going to west, going to north, so what we're going to do is to get the hypotenuse or to get the resultant vector natin. Doon na papasok ngayon si tangent at saka tangent si sine cosine. Okay po? So I show you how to get the answer using your calculator. Hope you guys have your own scientific calculator. Okay, especially if you will be dreaming to become a engineer someday, so dapat ngayon pa lang nag-ano na kayo ng magandang calculator and scientific kasi this is very useful for you guys. Okay? So, let's end our discussion. Hope you enjoy watching and listening to my discussion. Pag may mga tanong po kayo, you can message me to our MS Teams. Kaya actually, I mean, we have already our class on there. Or sometimes hindi siguro pakalagay niyo, hindi ko nababasa. Actually, I am there for 24/7. Pwede nyo rin akong i-reach out dun sa messenger natin. But please, if mas advisable ko sa inyo kung sa MS Teams kayo gumamit kasi magka-clash yung aking messenger pag doon kayo lagi nag-ano. Tapos again, pagpasa po ng mga requirements natin, see to it naka-folder po siya. Okay? Tapos, paki-box po yung mga sagot ninyo na tama. Okay? So, magbibigay naman po ako ng mga other magbibigay po ako ng hint kung hindi kailangan ng solutions. Pero mostly, kadalasan talaga naging ako ng solution to justify your answer. Okay? Hope na maintindihan nyo yung discussion natin and this video can help understand on the topics for the topic for this week. Okay? God bless, guys.